Hello there, wrestling fans, and welcome to Chicagoland Championship Wrestling Presents Pro Wrestling Tonight. I'm John Bullard. Tonight, we're going to be talking to the one and only Fight or Flight Phil Bruno. Ladies and gentlemen, on April 4th, 2020, we're going to have a great show coming here to Michigan City, Indiana, at Chicagoland Championship Wrestling. It has their big debut event. We'll have stars such as Vic Capri, The Shogun, Chris Logan, Matt Dwar, Chaz Moretti, C-Red, Fight or Flight, Phil Bruno, and many other stars. Now, before we have our guests on the show tonight, I just want to say, in the time in the world that we live in, we always need heroes. We need people to stand up for the little man, to be brave in a time that most people who are not brave. Our guest tonight is definitely one of those people who stands up for what is right, for what is justice, and most of all, courage and having nothing but humbleness. Check out this highlight clip of the man known as Phil Bruno. What an excellent video package that was of Fight or Flight Phil Bruno. Now, wrestling fans, please welcome my guests, the distinguished gentleman of professional wrestling, the one and only, Phil Bruno.
Well, that's an excellent introduction. Thank you very much for having me here at Chicagoland Championship Wrestling. I just want to take a second to thank everyone for tuning in. It really means a lot to be able to be given this opportunity to not only show what I can do, but show what the rest of Chicago can do in terms of true studio professional wrestling. Thank you, John.
It is our honor.
Thank you, sir.
Phil, watching your talent over the years, it's been impressive to see what you've done with a lot of the companies in Chicago and also the other parts of the Midwest.
Thank you.
For the fans at home that are getting the chance to see you for the very first time in this region, tell us a little bit about yourself. How did you actually get yourself involved in the sport of professional wrestling?
So, when I was younger, when I was maybe in 6th grade or something, you know, professional wrestling in my area was kind of a taboo. I was bullied a lot. I was bullied a lot in high school, and I know that a lot of wrestling fans probably have dealt with the same thing. I always told myself that I was going to be one, and you know, eventually I took the first step to step into a wrestling ring. It started off at Jimmy Blaze at Pow Entertainment. While I was in college, wasn't working out. I stayed. I kept true to the dream while I finished college, and as soon as I was out, I said, I'm going to do this. I became a professional wrestler through Steve Boz and the Chicago Style Wrestling Training Academy. They taught me not only how to wrestle, but how to connect with the people out there and understand that this is truly not only just a sport, but a real emotional, true story for the fans. And I understood that because I was bullied in high school and junior high school, and that drove me to give back to those people that are maybe dealing with the same thing. So that's my whole story, and that's where I got my start, and that's where I have grown since then. And I am looking to give that hope and fight for what's right here in Chicago, and bring everyone up.
The thing I was always impressed about you is that you've always had the what's the word I want to use? The honor of always going out of your way to help out someone who's less fortunate. You always reach out to help out the younger guy who may not have a mentor, may not have someone who is looking out for their best interests. And I've noticed that's one thing I noticed about you is that you've always reached out to help out the guy who might be a step behind you, but you're always reaching out to pull them right back up and put them right in the same spot with you.
Well, there's a story behind that as well. So when I started off and I had my very first match, a man that's well known in the Chicago independent wrestling scene, TJ Steele, saw my match, and then went up to the promoter and said, "I want to do something with him. Let me build him." So I am forever grateful for what he's done for me. That is how I got my start. We started off with we fought it out. We became a tag team because he was truly the person who brought me into this business. Afterwards, I thought that maybe it would be a good idea for me to do the same thing and give back. So it needs to be a constant, flow of giving back for all of us in Chicago and in professional wrestling to grow. And that's something that I have not seen a ton of. So let's bring that back, and that's what I believe in.
Yeah, paying it forward.
Yes, let's pay it forward.
Absolutely. Talking about TJ still a fantastic professional wrestler who's also is planning to be part of Chicagoland Championship Wrestling. Him and Steve Boz is a well-known tag team. I know Steve Boz has wrestled all over the country, huge champion in almost every company he's ever performed in. I know he was huge in Windy City. Wrestling, was ran by the great Sam DeCero. And I know he also helps run the wrestling school there for Chicago Style Wrestling for any of the younger folks at home that are wanting a great wrestling school to learn the craft, learn the trade of our business. He's definitely a great teacher, and I definitely highly suggest him to everyone who's ever contacted me about learning the business.
I am a result of that school, and I would not be where I am today if it wasn't for them. So anyone that is looking for quality professional wrestling training, look up Steve Boz and the Chicago Style Wrestling Academy. Yes.
Now, what else companies have you actually wrestled for during your time here in the Midwest?
Well, here in the Midwest alone, it's been Chicago Style Wrestling, Global Pro Wrestling, Southland Championship Wrestling out in Chibance, Illinois. I've wrestled for Pro Wrestling Fusion. On top of that, I have gone into Kaiju Attack Wrestling, helped that grow, as well as Project Forest City Wrestling out in Rockford. They're now defunct. Underdog Championship Wrestling is the successor to Project Forest. On top of that, Anarchy Pro Wrestling, Lucha Libre Total, and Yali Lucha Libre. So I've been working all across at least the Chicagoland area, but I've stepped outside somewhat, a little bit for IWA Mid-South, a little bit for SSW, Stars and Stripes Wrestling out in Wisconsin, as well as Rocky Mountain Pro out in Colorado. So I've been wrestled for plenty of promotions, and it's given me an opportunity to learn a lot. And that's the one piece of advice that I can give to younger people that are starting out. Hone your craft in your home promotions, your home area, and then just branch out because there's knowledge everywhere. So I can't recommend going out there and just learning, and that's the best way to learn.
Yeah, absolutely. So during your time with CSW, you said you and TJ still formed up a tag team.
Yes.
Tell me a little bit more about that, and do you guys have any memorable matches during that time period as a team?
We did. So it started off as a feud between us. It was myself and TJ. We actually kind of hated each other at the start, and we had still to this day, one of the best matches I ever had. We were forced into a tag team at first, and we happened to win somehow. And then we saw, hey, maybe we have something here. And then we kept winning, and we became basically one of the hottest tag teams in CSW at that time, which was Brute Force Trauma. We were out there to win. Not only were we out there to win, we were out there to win by any means necessary. It was while it was one of the best times of my life, I will admit that it was a darker time in my life, and I will not let that reflect on who I am today. Brass knuckles were the use of all of those, the result of all of those wins.
So when you say brute force
we were
trauma, you meant it by physical force with the old brass knucks.
Yes, we were giving some good brute force trauma.
Oh, wow.
So there was I came up from a start that you wouldn't expect from me, but
yeah, it was. I first suspect when I first saw you, it was like the almost Clark Kent turns into Superman in the ring for the fans, and
I have had
every superhero, or there's an old saying that every sinner can become a saint, and every saint has a past.
I do have that past.
Yeah.
I do have that past. So let's see if this continues, and I can continue to be an upstanding member of the professional wrestling community. But until then, we'll see what the future holds.
Oh, absolutely. So, coming into Chicagoland Championship Wrestling, I know there's a lot of talent that's coming into our roster. Anybody that you have your sights set on?
I do. First off, Matt Dewar. Matt Dewar is the first person that comes to my mind, and I will tell you why. We have had an ongoing feud in Underdog Championship Wrestling. He stole a championship belt from one of the owners there and just claimed himself champion. He did not show to the event when we were supposed to battle it out. So with him not showing up to that event, I got to wrestle one of my the person I'm most grateful for, TJ Steele, for that belt. But there's unfinished business between him and I, because he said full blown in a YouTube video that you can find that he is just full blown better than me. I have traveled throughout Chicago, bringing him to shows, hanging out with him, working out with him, spending all of his time with him, and that's what I get. So, friendship really runs thin in this business, and he has proved it. So I have unsettled business with Matt Dewar. That is the first person that comes to my mind.
I also know that Matt Dewar, we had a previous interview with the agent of champions, Mr. Chaz Moretti. Chaz has signed Matt Dewar to be his golden boy, his rightful heir to the Chicagoland Championship Wrestling Heavyweight title coming up. And I know now you have your eyes set on Matt Dewar. I think that is going to become quite explosive, to say the least, between you two in one building here in Michigan City, and also across the Midwest as well.
Well, let me tell you something. It doesn't. The championships are great. We're all here to wrestle to be the best, to be the number one championship belt holder, the king of Chicago. I understand that. But let me tell you one thing. My sight, whether the championship belt is there or not, is set on Matt Dewar. Without a doubt, without a question, because I need to prove to myself, and I need to prove to all the fans out there, that you can stop bad and you can stop evil as much as you can. I believe firmly that there is a little bit of good in all of us. And if I need to beat the sense into him, then I will. Because I still believe that there's some friendship there and there's some good in him. So we'll have to use some brute force, even if we have to, because I'm not going to let Chaz Moretti sink his teeth into him, and I promise you that.
I know you got to be very careful, though. Chaz does have a very large clientele. Yeah, I know he has You've Gone Wild, which was also a very popular tag team that was very, let's say, beloved by the fans, and now they've kind of seen maybe a little darker path. going with Chaz, and with Moretti's deep pockets, who knows what type of thugs, goons, and type of henchmen he'll hire to try to take you and a few other guys out. Because I know not only yourself, but there's a few other guys that also want to get their hands on Moretti and his posse of guys as well.
Well, it sounds like that it might be against all odds. I've been against all odds my entire life. And I'm still standing here and I'm still sitting here in this room with you right now today. So I'm not afraid of any agency, of any amount of money, of any group, of anyone out there that is out there to show that bad wins. Bad doesn't have to always win, no matter what the odds are stacked against you. So bring on the money, bring on the guys. I've faced both members of Youth Gone Wild in singles competition. I've done what I've had to do this past however many years that I've been in wrestling. I will not stop until I stop bad. It's easy. Stop bad.
You should have a T-shirt slogan that says that.
Stop bad. Easy. I'm printing it out.
There you go.
Right
there
now.
we go. Get that taken to the office and get that printed out and let fans know that a good guy can overcome all odds.
There's no reason why we can't.
Now, outside of professional wrestling, I also know that you do a lot of work with at-risk youth, and you also have done a lot of work with pretty much walking the streets at night and kind of watching over people with the folks here in Chicagoland area. It's kind of nice to see a citizen actually, when people talk about the fight or flight, that's not really a gimmick. That's who you actually have always been, and it's impressive that you kind of stand your ground to actually help out the little man.
I've there's been plenty of situations where I've been out, not necessarily drinking, but I've seen bars where there've been fights. It's your duty to go out there and break up that fight. If you see someone out there lurking around your apartment complex or house or wherever it is, say something. Do something. There's no reason that we can't go out there and stop what is out there, not even in the wrestling ring, but out there in this world today. So I'm out here right now to not just represent that you can stop evil, stop bad in a professional wrestling ring, but that you can do it anywhere, anytime, any place that you see it. And that is my true belief. And it's as simple as that.
Oh, very impressive and very true. I do agree with that as
Thank
well. The world needs more upstanding people in the society that sadly is seeing a lot of bad as of late. And I have to say that it's a good thing to see that there's people who take the proactive stance and helping out the fellow man in the community. Off subject a little bit, also notice that you are a video game arcade connoisseur and builder. Myself included, I'm the same way. I love a good video game cabinet build. And top 5 video games that you enjoy on your an arcade.
On an arcade machine.
Arcade machine.
Okay, so we're brightening the mood a little bit, and I'm always down for that. So I have an arcade cabinet that I built myself. The lady doesn't always enjoy having it in the living room, but that stays. Call me bad for that if you'd like. But my top 5 favorites that I really enjoy to play. So it's obviously Miss Pac-Man. Not Pac-Man, Miss Pac-Man. I like the speed. I like how it's faster paced. Yeah. On top of that, another one of my favorite games is just Burger Time. You play Burger Time, basically building the burger yourself, avoiding the bad guys. On top of that, another game that I really enjoy. It's actually maybe my favorite game of all time because I'm kind of just listing them off here. Defender. If you've ever played Defender, Defender is one of my favorite games because you're able to just go around, shoot aliens, save the people. That's another great one. If you've ever played Raiden before, Raiden's a really good game from the late 80s, early 90s, just to shoot them up.
I was a big fan of Asteroid as well. I used to play that a lot.
Yeah, Asteroids is a really good game too. And then I'd say maybe my most favorite game, actually Defender is my most favorite game. But another game that I could just name off of the top of my head, that's probably 1942. 1942.
Oh,
just really simple dogfighters too. Just Dodgeball. Dodgeball was another favorite favorite game when I was a kid. So just dodging things, hitting them, always enjoyed those games. So I think that's 5. That's 5.
5, yeah.
That's
That's
5.
pretty good
Very
list.
nice.
Very good list.
Thank you.
With wrestling coming up, do you have a top 10 list of wrestlers outside of Matt Dwyer? A top 10 list of professional wrestlers that you, in Chicagoland or at least in the United States, so it's not signed by one of the big companies, that you have wanted to have a match with?
So Steve Boz is one of them, and I think that I'm going to be getting that opportunity at CSW if I make my return. We'll see. We'll see in a couple of weeks. Another one is Bryce Benjamin. Another excellent trainer in Chicago that I've seen plenty of matches with and always wanted to have a match with. I have wrestled him, but I've always wanted a rematch with Eric Priest. I've wrestled him twice now. Beat him once, but then he beat me after that. So we have to settle that score.
Oh, the rubber match per se.
If you want to call it that, yes, a rubber match. So that's 1, 2, 3. Let's think. I would say probably his name is Josh, not Josh. Let's say Gabaldi is another one. The sideshow, the Chicago sideshow. So Gabaldi, Fester, Nacho Clown, Cypher. So I just named off 4 right there. Out in Galley, I mean Joe Alonzo. He has a lot of clout. He's very outspoken, but I hate to say an excellent performer. On top of that, Marche Rocket.
All day Marche.
All day Marche.
Man's traveled all over the world. Yeah,
yep. I don't think I've ever had a one-on-one match with him. So that's on my goal.
He's on everyone's to-do list of wrestlers in the Midwest.
Right.
Everyone I've talked to, and there is like, well, who do you actually want to have a match with? And Marche has been countlessly in the top 5 of most people's list of wrestlers.
He's
having him also coming to Chicagoland Championship Wrestling is a huge deal. This time of TNA Impact, I know he just finished a tour in Mexico where him and Bryce won the tag team titles.
That's right.
So, they've done really well for themselves. So,
they're showing what Chicago can do.
Who knows? Maybe down the road, you and him might face off with each other in Chicagoland Championship Wrestling, and that would be one encounter that would be worth watching on any television set across the country.
I'm telling you right now that would be an honor and a privilege to share a ring with him. So I think we're pretty close to 10. We could throw Vic Capri in there as well.
Absolutely, Ice Vic.
Yep, I have never had a one-on-one bout with Vic Capri yet. I would love to see what the outcome of that would be. Definitely one of the top guys in Chicago who's been around all over the place for years and years and years. Chicago legend. And then I guess one more. Let's throw one more in there. I've never had a one-on-one match with him. His name's Mojo McQueen.
Oh yeah, the Voodoo King.
The Voodoo King, Mojo McQueen. I would love to see what tricks he has up his sleeve in his little voodoo bag.
And he's another one. Was broken into the Chicago area, and now he's everywhere. You look at almost any poster in the country, and you will see Mojo McQueen's menacing, features and the mask and the face paint, and the numerous different faces that he puts on for each show. What he does, he would be in a different an encounter, to say the least.
It is amazing when you think about it how much great talent comes out of the city of Chicago, and we are sitting in a pool of it right now.
Absolutely.
So it is a great land for opportunity for anyone that is trying to become professional wrestling. You are in the right place if you are in Chicago.
And that's the reason why we started up with Chicagoland Championship Wrestling, was that purpose alone. The Midwest, Chicago, and also we'll include Indiana and Wisconsin and a few other states that have such a great talent pool that it seems like with television wrestling, a lot of those guys get overlooked for the guys on the East Coast and with the West Coast as well. Mm-hmm. And when we started the organization, the main purpose was, let's put attention on the guys who get overshadowed, that if they were given a chance could knock down any doors of any company and give them a fighting chance. And having yourself on the roster is going to be amazing to watch you perform. The same thing with Vic and Marche and Logan
Mhm.
You know, we got the Miles Mercer, the king of the whole show, and all these great talents are coming through. It's going to be a star-studded event on April 4th,
right.
coming up here in Michigan City. If you folks, by the way, want to get your tickets, definitely check out www.chicagolandchampionshipwrestling.com and check out the website and also our Facebook page. And you know, it's going to be one amazing event. We've got a whole lot of big matchups that will be, of course, announced pretty soon on the show. And you know, I'm looking forward to having you part of the company and definitely seeing the talent that you'll bring and other people's talents as well, and see what will happen, the magic that will happen that night, and nights to come as well for the fans.
You know, I am counting down the days to see what we can bring to the Chicago wrestling scene. I don't know the last time, maybe it was Windy City, that we've had just regular studio TV tapings in the Chicagoland area.
It's been a long time.
It's been a long time. In fact, I don't even think, I may have not even lived here because I moved from the East Coast, like we were talking about, from here. I don't know the last time that there ever was true studio wrestling, and it's time to bring that back because it's not just the sport, it's not just a fight, but it is truly art that many people in this area are craving and can appreciate, and that's why I honestly commend you for what you're doing right now. It's not only it is a true selfless act to be able to work hard and bring this back to the community that wants it really so bad, because it brings communities together, like it or not. And I've seen it time and time again in large cities or small towns where people come together, they buy their popcorn, they sit down, they watch wrestling, they enjoy the fight, they cheer for the bad guy or cheer for the good guy, they boo the bad guy, and they join together for that. So I am looking forward to seeing what the future holds for this.
Oh, absolutely, and that's a big important part right there is the community. You know, making where families who are going through a hard time can forget their worries for one night, get together. A grandfather can tell stories to his grandson and granddaughter about the legends of the past, while the kids can see the future legends of tomorrow.
It's something that people can join together about,
Oh,
families and
absolutely.
communities alike, and I'm looking forward to it.
That's one thing I used to tell so many people. They told me about why be so passionate about the business. And you know, myself, I used to be a former professional wrestler.
Yeah.
And I always tell them, nothing is more beautiful than being in that squared circle under those lights and knowing that one move can control the motion of an entire crowd of people. And you can take a guy who's had a bad day at the office, a bad day at the factory, and you can change his entire day just by doing something you enjoy.
Now that's a superpower in and of itself.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And I truly am grateful to have you as part of this company and also for being part of our show as well. And
Thank you very much.
I know with Matt Dwar and Chaz and those guys, I was trying to tell Chaz about that our big interview that we had.
Yeah.
I said, Chaz, I said, there's some talent that's been kind of knocking on the door that's been wanting to take a swing at you.
Mm-hmm.
And he kind of brushed it off. He's like, well, you know, I'm not worried about that. And, you know, Chaz has a lot of power. And I will give that to Mr. Moretti. I will never knock him for his championships that his title holders have always held under his tutelage. And he has been a man, well, can't say that word manager because that's a dirty word to him, the agent of champions. But I know with you knocking on that door pretty heavily, I know sooner or later, Matt Dwar will be facing you, Phil Bruno, face-to-face in that ring. And when that does happen, it's going to be fireworks.
He's going to have a hard time brushing this off. I'll tell you that right now.
Well,
I promise you that.
thank you, Phil, for being part
Thank
of
you
our
for having me
show.
here.
And
Appreciate it.
for folks, once again, we want to say thank you for being our wonderful viewers at home here at Alco TV, and also for those who watch this show on YouTube as well. We want you all to know that we care about you, and during the hardest of hard times that we live in this world, never give up the dreams, never give up the journeys, and most of all, come out to the show, support independent wrestling because the wrestlers do care about you, the fans. It is you who give us what we can do best for you. Entertain you so we can forget about the bad times and have a whole lot of good times. This is John Bullard from Chicagoland Championship Wrestling here at Pro Wrestling Tonight. Signing off. Have a great night.